Osashiburi. It's been a long time. Hello, welcome. Uh, I don't even know where to begin. The Myargonauts channel. Uh, it's been percolating, and this month actually is kind of a special month. May of 2008, 10 years ago this month. In fact, May 11th of 2008, I put up my very first jet program related vlog on the Myargonauts channel. And that was really the series of videos that kind of, uh, you know, established a name for myself, as it were, or started the channel to be popular. Lots of views, lots of questions early on, lots of discussion. When sort of information on the web was a little bit uh, less available than it is now. Now I look around YouTube, there's so many great people making vlogs about their jet experience, their teaching experience, their living experience here in Japan, that there's plenty of resources for you to go to. But a lot of you still come by and check out my vlogs on teaching and living in Japan, that are, now, like I said, some of the vlogs are 10 years old this year. So I thank you. Some of you still follow the Facebook page, Myargonauts on Facebook. Some of you still are on my Twitter, Taisha Jason. And so I still feel like I'm connecting with you guys all the time, even though I don't make vlogs that often. But I kind of feel like I have something to talk about that's new, that I've never talked about before. And I got to apologize right up front. I feel like I want to do this and can I just do this for the rest of the vlog? Is that okay? No, I got a really short haircut at the start of Golden Week. It's Golden Week right now, which is kind of why I have some spare time. Golden Week is a series of national holidays that if you kind of munch them all together, especially if you work at a private school like I do now, which is kind of be one of the things I talk about, you can get a whole week off. And it's wonderful. Everyone in Japan kind of does stuff for Golden Week. I've kind of played it very low key. I'm saving money because I want to go home to America in the summer. So I didn't go anywhere or do anything much. Other than I went and saw the Avengers twice. Yay. But anyway, so I got the short haircut. Just, on my day off, I went and got the haircut, growing the goatee, because I kind of feel like it offsets the loss of hair on the top, or something. And for some reason, this nasty bugger is coming in. And there's just nothing you can do about it. But I still wanted to make the vlog. I'm not that vain. So I apologize if it's distracting. Maybe I'll just do this. No, that would be even weirder. But yeah, I feel like I have something new to talk about. I feel like I have actually two good topics, so I'm actually going to make two videos. I know, in a row. Not two tonight because it's already 10:30 tonight. And I'll post this one, but I'll make another one tomorrow in the daylight. Maybe the lighting will be a little bit different, and I'll have different clothes on, so you'll know it's a different day, right? Um, but yeah, I did jet for 5 years. Loved it. You guys know I loved it. Had a wonderful time out in Shimane-ken. Went home to America for a year. Didn't enjoy it. Got a decent job though, at a wonderful company with a wonderful boss. And but then came back, worked at a university that happened to also be in Shimane-ken, a very rural place, in a very not exciting city. No movie theater, no Starbucks, no nothing. Despite the fact that it was a college town, although the college only had about 1,000 students, which, isn't, there are lots of high schools that have more than that. Anyway, ended up working there for 5 years. And then in 2016, I moved to my new city. And I got a job doing something that I'd never done before, which was teaching, which I've done plenty of that, but it was teaching a subject. And so I think that's what I'm probably going to title this video, Teaching a Subject Other Than English. It is possible in Japan, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about my experience with it. And I've been doing it for 2 years, so the school year in Japan starts in April, so we just started. We've done the first kind of month of school for this school year, my third year at this school, but I've completed 2 full years at this school. And the 2 major differences are, one, as I mentioned up top, it's a private school, so I'll go into that maybe in another video. But the basic thing is, um, I mean, the way you get paid, the way you're kind of treated as a normal citizen, and you have a job at this place, as opposed to the way your hand is held by Interact or Jet or etc., and you have a supervisor and all this kind of stuff, because you're not paid out of tax money like you are when you're a Jet program employee. You're kind of almost a government employee. Then you're paid by the school, and in going with that, the school can kind of set some of its own rules about when you have to come to work and days off uh, and also like we have to do recruiting. We want students to come to our school. The more students that come that pay the tuition, the more things we can buy for the school to make it a better school. And obviously, my position is my salary is paid by the students' fees. So that's something that I obviously never had to do in a public school. But basically, it's the same. I worked at a junior high for 5 years in Shimane and some elementary, and this school is a combination junior high and high school put together. So it's 6th grade levels all in one building. And again, it's not a very big school. I think we have a total of about 400 students. So in many of the grade levels, well, especially in the junior high, there's only 2 homeroom classes per grade level. And the second homeroom class I'll get to in a moment is full of kind of special students that are on a different course than the normal students. And then as you get to high school, more kids come. They want to come to our high school. But again, we have like one special section homeroom for the kids that are doing the IB program. And then the regular kind of kids that just, want to play baseball and enjoy their school life, etc. The other huge difference between my school now and the schools that I worked as a Jet, and most Jets, in just about any situation, this would be the same for them too, is generally when you're a Jet, you're the only foreign teacher at the school that you're working at. You go in there to be the assistant language teacher, the ALT, and help teach English classes, generally at the junior high and elementary level, sometimes at the high school level. Occasionally, you might find a school that has 2 ALTs. Boy, wouldn't that be nice? But usually they not only are you at one school and you're the only foreigner, but you're at many schools. Like I had 2 junior high schools, and I would alternate week here, week there in my 4th and 5th year, but I also had up to 7 elementary schools at the height of my busyness. Here, obviously, you're at one school, and I have 11 foreign coworkers at this school. So there are 12 of us that are from, where are we from now? We're from Australia, Britain, America. We used to have a guy from Trinidad, but he just left. Where else are we from? I know I'm leaving some places off. The Philippines. Yeah, that might be it for right now. Anyway, so many different countries where the main language is English, and basically the reason we have so many foreign teachers is because the kids at our school that are in the special classes are learning their core subjects, things like math, science, history, and English, in English. Okay, obviously they still take Japanese, and that's in Japanese. They go to PE, and that's with a Japanese PE teacher. Art is taught in English. They have music, which is actually taught in Japanese. So, health is in Japanese, and they do things here in Japan that you wouldn't even heard of if you've never lived or worked in Japan, like moral education. What else? Yeah, so, here and there, a few things, but basically, sorry, I'm going to have some fruit sorbet. Woo-hoo. From 7-Eleven. But the main nitty-gritty classes are all taught in English. And these are for the kids on a special track. In junior high, it's for the kids that wanting to go into the IB program when they get to our high school. And in high school, it's not even all of high school. 10th grade is preparatory, and then the actual IB program is a 2-year program that starts in 11th grade and goes to the end of their 12th grade year. and it includes all other kinds of things. I'm not going to talk so much about the IB program. You can look it up maybe in another video. If you guys leave comments and want to know what it's like, I can tell you about it. But the IB program is not just in Japan. It's all over the world. There are great IB schools in Europe, in Singapore, in China, in English-speaking countries. Like I think you can do the IB program in America and Canada and Australia too as part of high school. So anyway, but for our kids, obviously, it's the added challenge of learning in English, not your native language. Although we do have some students whose one parent is Japanese and one parent is not, so maybe they have some English or they grew up somewhere else and now live in Japan or things like that. So, but the main appeal to me and the reason why I kind of got to the end of 5 years and I was looking to make a change at the university and I chose to pursue this job, and I'm so happy that I've got it now and I've been so satisfied, is that for the first time ever I get to teach history. My graduate, not graduate, that's not the right word. I graduated with a degree in American history from UCSD, my college in America, with a minor in Japanese studies. And immediately went into the JET program. Now, I was old when I graduated because I did my first 2 years in my 20s, like a normal college student, even like, before that, in 18, 19, stopped going to school because I was an idiot, had fun all through my 20s, and then went back to school in my 30s. And so when I came over on JET, I was already 34 years old, so much older than most other JETs. But I did. So even though, I graduated and then immediately became a JET, I had lots of jobs and life experience and stuff before I came to Japan. But yeah, I just thought, before I even knew what JET was, when I decided to major in history, I thought I would graduate, do my kind of year and a half in graduate school, getting my teacher's certificate, my teaching license in the state of California, and then become a high school history teacher. That was the goal. I've just always loved teaching, and I've always loved history, and I wanted to study European history actually when I was in college, but to do that at UCSD at least, you had to then major in French or German or Spanish, a language, a European language, and I didn't want to do that. I wanted to take Japanese. And so they're like, okay, well then you have to major in American history, which wasn't bad actually, because America has a short history comparative to many other places, but it's a rich history, and there's a lot to study there, and I enjoyed it. Anyway, so yeah, come to 2016, and I'm starting this job, and for the first time ever, I'm teaching history, and I have to also, teach English a little bit at the start because we were getting certified to be an IB school. Now we're a full-fledged IB school, so I only teach one English class now, and I teach all the rest history. It was about half and half when I started, but yeah. So I just got dropped right into it. I was teaching seventh graders. Chuichi Nensei, like about ancient Greece, and then I was teaching sort of the Renaissance and the Reformation to the eighth graders, and then the ninth graders were getting like the French Revolution and Napoleon, and then the 10th graders are getting the Industrial Revolution and World War I, and then we jump into the meat and bones with 11th and 12th graders. With World War II and more modern topics and stuff like that. So just a whole range of history. It's been great to go back and study things and find out about the Silk Road and immigration to New Zealand in the 1940s, and just all these different topics that I've had to cover to help my students to take tests and study. So it can be done, So some of the teachers at my school obviously have a degree in math, and they teach math, and have a degree in physics or biology, and they teach science. We don't offer chemistry. It's such a small school, and our program is just starting. But there's a whole range of courses offered at some IB schools. And then obviously we have teachers who are teaching English, but it's on a different level than you would think of as teaching English if you've ever taught English in an ESL environment or in Japan, because they're reading books and it's language and literature, and it's much more complex than simply like this is a pen, this is an apple. No, okay. So yeah, it's very interesting. Um, and I'm the only history teacher actually at the school right now. They only need one at the moment. Um, whereas there's multiple math teachers for there's 6 different grade levels. There's a biology, more biology, life sciences teacher and a physics type teacher. There's multiple English teachers. We all help out with various English classes as well sometimes. We have this thing called Theory of Knowledge, which is its own course, TOK. So there's a teacher for that, et cetera, et cetera. I guess the main thing is that, it's just re-energized me as a teacher. And the other added benefit is that the kids that have to come into the program, if they want to study all their classes from 7th grade, in fact, in English, they have to have a certain level of English ability. And it can be nascent and then improve over time, but it has to be at a certain level. And what we found, at least what I found in the past 2 years, is the kids are coming in from our immersion elementary school, which is kind of another section of it's a different building, but it's on the same campus as our school. And the kids go through, 1st through 6th grade over there. And by the time they get to us in 7th grade, they're not speaking like a native and writing perfect, grammar and everything. But their ability to just watch like this video in English and understand what's being said for the most part is pretty high. And while every now and then, I'll be going through an English text, I mean, a history text, even with my 11th graders, and I'll come across a word like inculcate, or, I forget what the word I taught them the other day was. Um, but and I'll be like, oh, do you guys know what this word means? Oh, okay, well, here, let me explain this. And so I'll have to, and that's great, because that's all part of learning, is as you find these words in text and you circle them and you look them up in the dictionary, you talk about them in class. So there is still a little bit of English teaching even in my history teaching. And the main thing is with history is there's a perceived, I think if I taught history in America, there would be a perceived base level understanding, especially by the time students got to junior high or high school. And like you could make reference to Christianity, or you could make a reference to even pop culture things, but you could make a reference to, things that went on in America in the 20th century. And the kids would kind of know what you're talking about, whereas my kids just don't. I did a special lecture last year on 9/11 because most of my kids have been born after 9/11, and then they've grown up in Japan, so they know nothing about it. Um, so I just asked, are you interested? And they're like, yeah. So teaching history has really been very rewarding, and dealing with these kids, because their English is so good. It just is so refreshing, based on what you're normally used to as an ALT, where sometimes you have the best and most enthusiastic students, but you're never going to be able to really kind of like get down to it with them, because of the language barrier, unless your Japanese is really good. Um, and so these kids, we have and I don't pull punches. I teach world history. I also actually this year, believe it or not, I've been asked to support some students who are better. I have 2 students this year in 10th grade who are better at English than they are at Japanese. So they asked me, can you teach the required Japanese curriculum, but in English? So I'm teaching from Commodore Perry, those of you who know a little bit about Japan, from Commodore Perry and the Black Ships in the 1850s to the Meiji Restoration and forward, the stuff they have to know to get their Japanese high school diploma in English. So that's a challenge for me, because, I've got some texts and everything and some support, but the Japanese teacher that teaches those subjects normally speaks almost no English. And so my Japanese is really having to step up. And see, all of these kind of things are just new challenges and make it that much more interesting. So if you're interested in coming to Japan, certainly, I'll conclude with this. Teach English at first. It's a great, foot in the door kind of thing, way to get into the country. Go through the JET program if you can. It's the best. but there's other ways to come as well. And then if you have a degree in something else or a passion for some other type of teaching, look around. I know that when my school advertises, we use, the basic advertising that a lot of places use, like ohiosensei.com for job listings and things like that. So if you go there, you're gonna see. I know there's other IB schools in Japan that are popping up, and there are opportunities now at like international schools and some other types of schools that aren't just normal public high schools to teach your subject, like math or science or art. Our art teacher's from Australia. He's a really nice guy. And then history in English to students who really can understand what you're talking about and get into the material. And the IB program is tough. I'm just this weekend having to spend time reading a almost 4,000 word essay written by one of my 12th graders as her final project before she graduates next February. And it's called the EE, the Extended Essay. And she wrote on how the perception of people who survived the atomic bombings in Nagasaki and Hiroshima has changed over time in the past 50 years. And the difficulties some people have of claiming the certificate they're supposed to get to be officially I believe the word is hibakusha, a designated survivor of the atomic bombings. Anyway, so all in English. You had to write this research, bibliography, table of contents, all this kind of stuff, and so it's no mean feat. And the kids have to be able to do well across the board. Like, when I was in high school, I was pretty good at English. I was really good at history. I had good electives and stuff, but I wasn't very good at math and science. I don't even know if I could do the IB like back then, if I had to do it now. I think if I really worked hard, maybe I could have, because you can get lower scores in some things and higher in other and still get the diploma. And you might be asking, well, why do they put themselves through all this? What's the advantage? The advantage is as a Japanese student, if they graduate from our high school with this special diploma, it's like an automatic entry into many foreign universities. And a lot of them do want to go study abroad in Australia or Canada or America or England. And it's very internationally recognized. The IB, it's a very known quantity. Like, they know how hard the students have to work to get certain scores. And if the students are able to do that and do it in their second language, it's just like automatically they know, okay, English well enough to hang with the faculty and the courses at our school, and you're going to be prepared and do well in our college, and we want you to come. So that's why they do it. And some of them, just really like English. They want to have a career doing something in English, but they want to stay in Japan, and that's valid too. But anyway, so that's what I'm doing now. That's how I spend my time. I've got an added responsibility this year, though, and that's being a homeroom teacher. So my first 2 years, I didn't have to worry about that. But though, again, it's a private school, and I'm a member of the staff, and I work, and as the staff gets to know me and trust me, and I get to know them, and like I said, my Japanese is getting better, I feel, and I'm able to communicate more and more. And the school does a lot to make sure that everything is translated and all our meetings are bilingual and everything. It's so different than any other environment I've ever been in Japan, that more and more responsibility is given to us, and we're treated kind of like the Japanese teachers that you would sit next to as an ALT, and you'd be like, wow, you stay every night until 6 o'clock, and you do this and you do that. So I'm going to talk about that whole thing and being a homeroom teacher and what that's like in another video. But if you have questions about the IB and stuff, and you want me to talk more about that, just leave comments down below. And if you have general questions, of course, feel free to leave comments, and I'll do my best. And if you're just interested in the JET program and everything, boy, there are playlists on my channel. Go check those out. And thanks for watching. If you made it all the way to 24 minutes, I salute you with a green pen. And like I said, hopefully another video maybe tomorrow or Sunday. I will try to get that up at the weekend too, and hopefully I can take time from time to time. I'm really busy. This was a nice week off, especially after the onslaught of what April was, and how much my life is changing with added responsibilities. But hopefully I can pop on here every now and then and give you updates. We're going to be doing a lot of fun stuff, with my homeroom. We're taking trips to different parts of Japan. I might get to go to America with them next year in March. We'd go to New York and Washington and North Carolina, I think, which would be a lot of fun, um, and things like that. So, yeah, yay, another video. Thanks for watching, guys, and take care of yourselves, and I'll see you maybe tomorrow. Peace.